Hook! The sound of a motorcycle roared through the quiet streets of a small American town. It was late afternoon, the kind of golden hour that made everything glow with warmth, but for one man, the homecoming felt heavy. After 5 long years of drifting across states, sleeping under open skies, and chasing freedom on 2 wheels, Jake Turner finally came home. He thought he'd find peace, maybe even a familiar smile waiting at the door. But what he found instead stopped him cold. His mother, the woman who'd once worked 3 jobs to raise him, now bent over a diner table, wiping away crumbs with a tired hand. Hey everyone, welcome back to Your Channel Name, a place where we share true stories that touch the heart and remind us what really matters in life. If you enjoy stories about kindness, family, and second chances, please hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories just like this one. Now, let's dive into Jake's story, a story about mistakes, love, and the kind of kindness that changes everything. Jake Turner had always been restless. Growing up in the small town of Maplewood, population barely 3,000, he felt trapped. His friends went to college, joined the army, or stayed to help their families. But Jake? He wanted more. He wanted the open road, the wind, the feeling of not belonging anywhere. At 21, he packed a backpack, bought an old Harley with the little money he'd saved, and left. He didn't say goodbye properly. He couldn't. His mother, Ellen, begged him to stay, said she couldn't afford to lose him the same way she lost his father to a car accident years earlier. But Jake brushed her off, promising to call when he could. He didn't. The first few months were thrilling. Every day was a new place, Nevada deserts, Montana highways, diners where strangers smiled at him. But soon, the loneliness hit. He'd scroll through his phone and hover over his mom's number but never dial. Shame stopped him. The longer he stayed away, the harder it felt to go back. He told himself he was fine, that his mom was fine too. But deep down, he knew he'd broken her heart. Years rolled by. He worked odd jobs, construction, motorcycle repair, even washed dishes in roadside diners. But something in him started to change. Every time he saw a mother with her son laughing, talking, sharing a meal, a quiet ache stirred inside him. Then one day, in a small Arizona town, an older man at a gas station struck up a conversation. The man said, "You remind me of my boy. Haven't seen him in 6 years. He's somewhere out there, chasing dreams. I just hope he knows I'm still here." Those words hit Jake like a punch. He went back to his motel that night, couldn't sleep, and for the first time in years, he thought about his mom, her smile, her worn hands, her way of tucking his hair behind his ear when he was little. He realized he didn't even know if she was okay. That night, he decided to go home. When he pulled into Maplewood, it was like stepping into a memory. The same dusty roads, the same old grocery store on the corner, the same oak tree that shaded their yard. But when he got to their small house, it was empty. The windows were covered with old curtains, and a for sale sign leaned crooked in the yard. His heart sank. He felt dizzy, like the world had shifted. He knocked anyway once, twice, but no one came. He asked around the neighborhood, and Mrs. Daniels, an elderly woman who'd lived next door forever, opened her door and gasped when she saw him. "Jake Turner? My goodness, I thought you were gone for good. Where's Mom?" Jake asked, voice shaking. Mrs. Daniels sighed. "Oh, honey, she sold the house last year. Times got hard. She works over at Benny's Diner now, you know, the one near the highway." Jake thanked her and got back on his bike, his heart racing. The roar of the engine couldn't drown out the guilt pounding in his chest. When he reached Benny's Diner, the parking lot was half empty. The neon sign buzzed faintly, open 24 hours. Jake took a deep breath, pushed the door open, and the bell jingled softly. The smell of coffee and fried bacon hit him, familiar, comforting, painful. He scanned the diner, eyes darting over strangers, until they landed on a woman near the counter. Her hair was grayer now, her frame smaller. She wore a simple uniform, her back slightly hunched. She was wiping down a table, humming a tune he remembered from childhood, the lullaby she used to sing to him. Jake's throat tightened. He wanted to call out, but his voice caught. Instead, he just stood there, frozen. The waitress behind the counter noticed him. "Need a table, hon?" she asked. He shook his head. "No, I'm just here to see someone." His mom turned at the sound of his voice, and for a long moment, she didn't move. Her eyes widened, and the rag slipped from her hand. "Jake," she whispered. "Hi, Mom." Tears welled up in her eyes before she even took a step. Then she rushed to him, her arms wrapping around him tight. "Oh my God, my boy," she sobbed. "You came back." Jake buried his face in her shoulder, trembling. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry for everything." She pulled back just enough to look at him. Her face was wet with tears, but her smile, that smile, was still there. "You're home. That's all that matters." They sat in a booth together for hours, talking between tears and laughter. She told him about the hard years after he left, losing her job at the grocery store, selling the house to pay bills, and finally finding work at the diner. It wasn't much, but she said the people were kind. Jake listened, guilt twisting inside him. "You shouldn't be working like this, Mom. I should have been here." She reached across the table and took his hand. "Life's not about what we should have done, Jake. It's about what we do now." That night, Jake stayed at a cheap motel. He couldn't sleep, too many emotions flooding through him. But one thought kept echoing in his head: kindness. His mother's kindness. How she forgave him without a moment's hesitation. The next morning, he went back to the diner, not as a customer, but to ask Benny, the owner, for a job. He told him, "I can fix bikes, fix engines, whatever you need. I just want to be close to home." Benny, a big man with a kind heart, smiled. "You Ellen's boy? She talks about you all the time. You're welcome here." Jake started working there that same day, washing dishes, cooking, helping with deliveries. Every night, he'd walk his mom home. Sometimes, they'd stop by the park where she used to take him when he was little. They'd sit on the bench, watching the sun go down, and she'd tell him stories he'd long forgotten. He realized something profound in those quiet moments: freedom wasn't about the open road. It was about peace, the kind that comes from love, from forgiveness, from being kind not just to others, but to yourself. Months passed, and one evening, while closing up the diner, Jake overheard a single mom struggling to pay her bill. She'd lost her wallet and was embarrassed. Jake remembered his mom's words: kindness is never wasted. He paid for the woman's meal without saying a word, slipping a 20 under her check before she noticed. When she realized it, she tried to thank him, but he just smiled and said, "Someone once showed me what kindness looks like. I'm just passing it on." That moment sparked something inside him. He started helping others, small things at first, fixing a kid's broken bike, shoveling snow for an elderly neighbor, donating a few dollars from each paycheck to the diners, helping jar for those who couldn't afford a meal. And each time, his mother's smile grew brighter. 5 years of running had taught Jake nothing about life. But 5 months of kindness taught him everything. He learned that kindness isn't a grand gesture, it's the quiet act of showing up. It's forgiveness when it's not deserved, love when it's inconvenient, and compassion when it costs you something. Jake's mom passed away peacefully 3 years later, surrounded by love. And every year since, on her birthday, Jake rides his Harley to the same diner, now co-owned by him, and buys coffee for every customer in her memory. He tells anyone who'll listen, be kind. You never know what someone's going through. Kindness is how we find our way home. Thank you for watching this story from your channel name. If Jake's story touched your heart, please give this video a like, subscribe for more true stories about hope and kindness, and share it with someone who might need a reminder that it's never too late to come home. Because in the end, kindness always finds its way back.